This is part two of The Storm, the short story set in the west of Ireland. The sharp buzz of the alarm clock woke him. He stretched out his hand to turn it off, but couldn't find it. Where in blazes was he? Suddenly he remembered he was in a hotel in the west of Ireland and his job was on the line. He must phone Jack. He sat up in bed. He turned off the alarm, sat up in bed, clicked the switch of the bedside lamp. Nothing. He leaned over and tried the lamp on the other side of the bed. It wasn't working either. What in blazes? The wind was still howling, but the rain seemed to have eased off. He got out of bed and groped his way to the switch on the main light. Nothing. There were no lights in the corridor either. He picked up the telephone, but there was no answer from reception. Blast! He'd have to phone Jock from downstairs. He felt weak as he went down the stairs. Lighted candles were scattered around the lobby. On his way to the reception desk, he glanced into the bar and saw Angie sitting in the corner, talking to a man. He felt he was going to be sick again when the receptionist told him that the lines were down and the causeway impassable because of the high seas. He was marooned in this god-forsaken place. What was he going to do now? He felt his vomit rising, but knew the cause was not the turkey. He was worried about his job. He told himself he mustn't panic. He would go back upstairs, get dressed and think of something. But he couldn't think of anything except losing his job. He was sitting on the side of the bed when Angie came into the room to light a candle. "You're up," she said, surprised. "Heard the news? The waves are breaking over the causeway. They say we'll be here for another day at least." "What are we going to do?" The note of pleading in his voice surprised her as much as it did him. "There's nothing we can do. The waves are enormous. Can't you hear the wind?" "But the office?" "Oh, they'll understand. They can't expect us to flap our arms and fly there," she laughed. "Goodness, you look worse than ever. Have you been sick again?" "I'm fine," he snapped. "It was your idea to order the bloody turkey. I had it too." "Look, we both know it wasn't the turkey that made you sick." "What do you mean?" "This has been coming on since the Christmas party. You're worried about your bonus and your job. Admit it. Come on, Oliver. I know you too well. It's all right for you. You've had a good year. The boom is over." She sounded quite matter of fact. "We'll all probably be redundant by this time next year." "You don't have to be so bloody calm about it. What's the use? If it's going to happen it will. Anyway, they'll have to keep some of us on. You, I suppose." "How do I know?" "Mike going last year came as a hell of a shock. It brought home to me that we're all expendable. Then with all the talk of redundancies at the Christmas party, I thought up this trip so that we might think things over calmly for a couple of days." "I have anyway," she muttered under her breath. "It'll blow over. If we can keep our cool for another 6 months, things will improve. It happened before." Oliver was talking to himself. 6 months will see us through. Angie sat down on the bed beside him. "You don't believe that," she said gently. "The boom's over. Mike said that last year. It's over. We have to move on." What was she talking about? If it were possible to get a job, it would never be as exciting as working the market, and no job would ever pay such fantastic money. Why, last year he'd earned more than a plumber would earn in a lifetime. Things had to get better. But what was he going to live on in the meantime? Keeping up with the others was expensive and he had no savings. His redundancy wouldn't amount to much. Look how quickly Mike had gone through his, and he'd been in the firm for over 20 years. There had to be a way. God, he was sure shitless. "We could start up a business," he heard Angie say. He looked at her in the flickering light of the candle. "What are you talking about?" "We could start up a business, pool our money. Julian is opening a second-hand clothes shop next month." Not that kind of thing. When she saw the look of contempt in his face. "He's built up a terrific collection of clothes going back last century. Some of them are near museum pieces, and he'll rent them out for parties and amateur theatricals, that sort of thing. He's amazed by this response he's had already. Are you suggesting we open a second-hand shop? No, she said impatiently. What Julian's doing shows there's money to be made if you have a good idea. Have you any more good ideas like that? Well, if you don't want to talk about it, the trouble with you, Oliver, is that you're totally lacking in imagination. What I had in mind was a small catering business. I could do the cooking and you could do the deliveries. Remember Patricia? She's doing it. She started up last year and she's inundated with orders. Are you serious? Me driving a van? We have to somewhere we could build up. It has potential. It has tremendous potential. I know. I've been doing my homework. Well, do your homework on something else. So what do you suggest? She challenged. I don't know, he mumbled. Things might improve. But what if they didn't? Mike didn't think they would, and then he was down in the dumps. Maybe he and Mike could do something together. No. Mike had been a whiz kid, but he was old now and couldn't stand the pace. What was he going to do? Catering? Angeli was a terrific cook, and delivering mightn't be too bad, so long as he didn't bump into anyone he knew. Yes, it could tide him over very nicely until something cropped up. Where would we get the money for this catering thing? I don't lash out money like you. I own my car. I'll sell it and get a small van. If it all worked out. Why? You've done very well this year. We'll leave that again. Okay, talk to you soon.